Okay, have you ever wanted to get your blog post to show up in Google, but you're finding it difficult? Well, in this particular video, I'm going to outline to you the steps that you need to optimize your blog posts and to finally get them to show up in Google for the keywords that you selected. Let's get into it. Okay, so again, why are we doing this? Because in one of my blogs, I was able to get over or close to 1 million impressions in a 12-month period from web search and over 500,000 impressions from image search in 1 year or 12 months alone. So first thing that you need to consider when you're wanting to optimize your blog post is user intent. Why? Well, if you get the intent for the user wrong, then your blog post is not going to show up for that keyword because the intended purpose for it is not correct. So 5 things to consider when looking at user intent are the keyword, motivation, which solution, the format, and whatever else that person is looking for. Let's take a look at it real close. So keyword can fall into 4 different categories, which is information, features, comparison, and purchase. So let me give you a typical example. So if someone is looking for cookie dough, just the word cookie dough, would you know what they're looking for just by that information, cookie dough? It could be that they're looking for a Wikipedia information about, what is cookie dough. But if they put in something, cookie dough supply or cookie dough ice cream near me, then you know that they're looking specifically for cookie dough ice cream and they're looking for it located right near where they live. So they may want to actually buy it. So you'd see the user intent suddenly change. If you put cookie dough alone, the user intent is very different from cookie dough ice cream near me. Or cookie dough recipes could be another one that someone is looking for, and they're looking specifically for a recipe. Or how to freeze cookie dough. Then you know that they actually made cookie dough and they want to know how to freeze it. So just by the keyword alone gives you information about what that person's intended search is for. So if it is you're going to write a cookie dough recipe, you can't just optimize for cookie dough because cookie dough isn't sufficient to get you the rankings that you want. It's just too broad. You need to be more specific as to what you're offering that particular user. Then there are two reasons why people actually buy stuff like products or services. The first one is to move away from pain, and the other one is to move towards pleasure. So you have to really be considerate of those 2 things whenever you're writing your particular blog post or page or whatever it is you're writing. Is that person moving away from pain or are they moving towards pleasure? And then based on that, the answer you give, you know what to offer them. And then which solution are you providing? Are you providing an instant solution, something that they can download? Are you providing them a list of items they can do DIY at home? Are you providing a done-for-you solution, like a service, for example, where you actually, they pay you and you actually carry out that service for them? Like, for example, a plumber or something like that. Or maybe you're going to offer them a course where they can actually learn or master that particular skill. It could be how to do a handstand, for example. And they have to obviously sign up for your course and you teach them over a period of 7 days or 7 weeks, whatever that is, for them to learn how to do this handstand. Right. So with that in mind, it comes the format. So based on what they're looking for, the solution that they're looking for, and the keywords that they're using, you could provide a solution based on that. So if someone is looking for cookie dough recipe, they might be interested in seeing a list of ingredients with a method or a video. However, if you just provide them with an image and nothing else, that actually doesn't give them the recipe, does it? So you have to be very, very considerate and aware of what it is you're providing for the user based on the search and the keywords that you're optimizing a blog post for. And you can see the different formats here. It could be a post, it could be a video, it could be an image or a course. Choose the one based on that particular user intent. And then you have the what else. This is one that most people forget when they're writing any kind of content online. They normally forget the what happens next. So the person reads a blog post, they know the answer because you've answered them thoroughly, but then what do you want them to do next? Or what is the next best thing for them to do? So maybe it is that they've read the cookie dough recipe, they don't have the ingredients at home, and you want to give them a shopping list so they can print out that shopping list, go to the supermarket and buy the ingredients so they can make the cookie dough ice cream at home because they don't have the ingredients in the pantry. Or maybe there's a related problem. maybe they have all the ingredients and they want to eat the cookie dough ice cream because they're going to make it, but they want to also get some actual cookies or biscuits or some kind of other treat to go along with the cookie dough ice cream. So think of it like going to the Amazon website. When you go to Amazon and you search for something, like maybe an air fryer, for example, and while looking at air fryer, you look at all the description, what is included, the pictures, the 3 to 5 star ratings, and you keep scrolling down, and at the bottom, you have a little suggestion from Amazon. People who bought this item also bought this item or these items. We have a list of 5 or 6 straight across the page. So, and giving you probably a package deal offer or whatever it is. So think about that whenever you write your blog post. What else people normally associate or like to buy or to get with this particular item that you're offering them. So next, we're looking at the user experience. And that might sound the same, but actually it's very different. The user experience has to be with the person's experience once they're actually on your website. What is that like? So you can feature things like your speed, the layout, rambling, and the solution, and step-by-step. So speed, as the name infers, is your website slow or is it fast? Is it acceptable? Is it 2 seconds or below, or 1.9 seconds and below even? Because anything over 2 seconds, people using their mobile device to access your web page, your recipe, your blog post, are going to have problems, and they might click the back button, which increases your bounce rate. Then you're looking at the layout. So when they come over to your recipe, is everything in a hodgepodge kind of format, or is it really easy to read? Does it look valuable in their eyes? Are all the colors matching, or is it very scary looking? So these are the things you need to consider as well. So you can have the fastest website in the world, but if that experience when they get there isn't that great, then you get people clicking the back button again, increasing your bounce rate. Then you have a lot of schools of thought when it comes to the actual recipe. So for those who are in the food niche, they probably understand what I'm talking about. I particularly am not, but I always hear people complaining about recipes that have backstories. And I think it's valuable, because if I'm showing you my grandmother's favorite, let's call it drops, because I know my grandmother she used to make these things called drops that my sister after me, she loved eating these drops. Both her and my brother will go and steal them from the actual pantry. And if I'm putting up my grandmother's recipe, I like to put a little backstory if I was writing a recipe about this thing called drops. And drops is like a sweet kind of bread, just in case you've never heard of the term before. And I like to write a backstory and say, well, my grandma used to make this, and my sister used to go and brother used to steal it from them. I like to give a little backstory, and made with coconuts, and coconuts were grounded by hand, But there's some people who don't care about that. They just want to get started. Give me the recipe, show me the ingredients, show me the method. I just want to get into it. And the secret to getting this to suit both the user who likes a backstory and the user who doesn't is to make sure you have a link at the top of the section with the backstory that says to get to the recipe or the ingredients, click here. That way they can skip over the backstory and get directly into the recipe itself. So always cater for both types of users. Then you have the solution. Did it work? So as you can imagine, because we have people from all over the world visiting our websites, and especially if you're giving them a recipe to make certain things, the flour, the sugar, the eggs, the butter are bought from different suppliers and made in different ways. So obviously, if you're giving them a recipe how to make a cookie dough ice cream, chances are that the way they make it in Netherlands is going to come out different to the way they make it in the US, because unfortunately the flour, the sugar, and the butter and whatever it is you're adding into this, or the milk, comes from different cows, comes from different places. So it may not always look the same and come out the same. So unfortunately, there isn't an instant solution for this, but you can make sure you don't have a lot of brand name products in your recipe, like Bragg's soy sauce or something like that. And you try and keep everything as, what we call it, generic as possible. Don't go for specific brand names. So when people use ingredients from wherever they are in the world, the chances of them having a success when making these recipes are much, much higher. Obviously, the step-by-step is also very important. So you might have a recipe and you think you've included everything, but have you? One of the best ways to find out if you have is you can actually let the recipe out into the whole wide World Wide Web, or you can get a few friends of yours to try it out to see if you've missed a step or if something isn't clear. Because you have to remember, some people don't speak your particular language, whether it be English or Spanish or French. And so they may not understand everything that you've written, like the jargon or any sort of local parlance or anything like that. So make sure everything is really suited for the least common denominator who's actually reading your recipe. A cool thing to include on your blog post, if it's a step-by-step method, are visuals. So just in case they don't understand what's written there, they can actually refer to the visuals. Like I have here showing you someone going up step by step. Just include as many visuals as possible, because people tend to, they say a picture gives 1,000 words, whereas your recipe might have less than 1,000 words in it. So the visuals will speak for themselves. Okay, now that we finished with the user experience, we're looking at the title and meta information. So you have your title tags, your image tags, keywords, LSI phrases, and the description. And as you can imagine with title tags, just in case you've come across my videos for the first time, I did explain title tags in a whole lot of details in another video, and I've included it in the link in the description. But the title tags are the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6 tags, especially if you're using the WordPress.org self-hosted solution. The image tags are those things that you use to identify the image in more detail, like the file name of the image will have the keywords included in it, the description of the image, as well as the alt text. And bearing in mind, the alt text section is specifically designed for people who are visually impaired. So make sure you include information about that image that will cater for someone who's visually impaired, to help them to see, in quotes, that image, because the computer is probably calling out the recipe for them and they're hearing your recipe as opposed to seeing it. And when they come across a photo, the computer will tell them photo of the apple or photo of chocolate chip cookies or whatever it is. So remember to include those for the visually impaired in your blog post. Of course, we've got keywords, and the best way to think of keywords, it's like a kitchen. When you go into a kitchen, there's some obvious things that will always be included in a kitchen, like a fridge, a stove or hob, cutlery, plates, a sink, sugar and salt, if you are having sugar and salt. But with keywords, you have it in the title, you've got it in the URL, you've got it in the first paragraph when you're writing your blog post, and you also have it in the subheadings throughout the blog. And you also need to make sure that it's not previously included in another blog post somewhere else on your site. The LSI phrases, LSI stands for latent semantic indexing. And just in case that sounds all fuzzy and technical to you, what it means is like the picture I've shown here. You see, we have, when you go to the supermarket or to the market, you'll have things like all the citrus fruits together. So the grapefruit, the orange, the lime, the lemons, and anything that's similar in terms of citrus fruits is the same with the latent semantic indexing. When you go to the supermarket, you expect to find the oranges next to the grapefruits, next to the limes, next to the lemons. This isn't always the case, but even the apples, you've got the red apples, the yellow apples, the green apples, they tend to be close to each other. So just the way how they lay out the supermarket is the same way Google expects your website or recipe to have things that are related, synonyms or associated words. For a recipe that has kind of a cake batter will always include cake and, I mean, not cake, but sugar, butter, flour. They expect to see that. But if you have a recipe that says cake and there's no flour, well, obviously, these days with so many different people allergic to so many different things, who knows what recipes cakes are made from these days, but they tend normally to have flour in them. Okay, so the meta description is up next, and it's that thing when you do a search in Google and you see the results, and you normally have a title and then there's a little description below that. That's just the meta description, which you make sure you add in your blog post using this Yoast SEO plugin. And again, I went through this in great detail in another video, which is included in the description. But you should always have the keyword in the description, as well as a call to action and enticing phrases. So phrases that will get them to click through, that will increase your click-through rate, or the click-through rate to your website, as well as your ranking. So when the more people click on your result in the search engines, the higher you'll be ranked by Google, because it said this is a relevant blog post, because it's giving the people are clicking through because they're interested and it answers their particular question. Of course, they need to stay there as well. which brings us nicely to bounce rate versus dwell time. So if they click through based on your description, an enticing message, and within 3 seconds they click the back button, it means that your bounce rate is going to be very high and you get lower rankings in the search engine. However, if they click through and after clicking through, they spend, say, a minute or more, 2 minutes, and then they click through to another page and another page and another page, that increases your dwell time or average session time, which means that your rankings will actually increase in the Google search engine rankings. So let's look at that in a little bit of detail. So like I said, bounce rate is the total number of single view visits to a website. So when people click through your website, they visit one page, they read the information and they click back, that's a bounce rate. And that's the amount of time that they spend there on that. But if they click through, they read one page, then they click through to another page and to another, that means it's dwell time. And the average length per session, which is the time they enter to your website, to the time they leave, it's what they call the session time. And the amount of pages per visit also includes the dwell time. So what you want is a much better dwell time or average session duration compared to the bounce rate. So here's an example of one of my blog posts that has a bounce rate of 66%. And by the way, just in case you didn't read that, bounce rates tend to be between 20% and 90%. Anything below or above that is not very good. And I know that sounds like a very wide range, but it depends. So if you have a bit of software on the internet that people have to log into, that means your bounce rate will be a lot lower than if you just have a regular blog post. And that's why there's such a wide duration in terms of bounce rates. But as you can see here, for this particular blog post, the bounce rate is 66%, and it has a dwell time of 19 minutes, which is quite good. I must say it's very impressive. And I'm going to show you the reason why I believe that the bounce rate, or the dwell time on this particular blog post is so high. So I'm going to show you live my blog post, and you can see it here. So this is the top of the blog post here. It's called 42 Blog Income Report Studies. And if you want to see it live yourself, you just head over to successunscramble.com/blog-income-report. And you can see here, just by the name, it's a report and a study that I conducted myself. I went and I looked at 42 different blogs and their blog income reports, the different niches that they belong to. So I looked at across 8 different niches, which you can see here. So it's across health, food, fashion, mom blogs, lifestyle, personal finance, marketing, and travel. And you can see I did an entire study across 8 different niches on 42 blogs. And I gave an entire list of health blogs, food blogs, fashion blogs, etc., and give an in-depth study as to how much money they made, what I did to earn that income, etc. And along with that, I also included a little bit of an interactive spreadsheet, I guess is what they call this, where they can literally view a larger version of it. They can scroll across to see more information themselves, because not everybody likes text. Some people prefer audio, some people like text, some other people prefer visual. So I'm catering for all 3 different categories of individual by having this blog post, including all of these interactive elements. And like I said, you can head on over there and have a look at that yourself for more information. In the meantime, I'm just going to pop back in to the actual presentation. And now we're going to look at body copy. So body copy will include things like your subheadings, your paragraphs, your white spaces, your font size, and your relevance. And as you can see here, so we've got, I know we started user experience earlier on, but this particular one is specifically looking at the actual font or the copy on the actual page. So is it a wall of text where people are feeling intimidated to read this and just feels like it's going to take them forever to read it? Or is there a lot of white spaces where they feel that there's some sort of momentum in their reading and they wouldn't even know if they're reading 3,000 words or 7,000 words? So the whole idea here is to make sure when you actually set up your blog post, think of the reader, the reading experience. Are you using the correct font size? Is it white text on black background, which is totally not very nice to read? Or is it black text on white background, or even dark text on white background, which is what I have here? And is there lots of spaces in between the sentences in the paragraph? and does the paragraph look readable and valuable? So think about all of that whenever you decide to set up the actual format of your blog post. Think of the reader experience when you're doing that. And just in case you don't know what's nice or what's nice, spend some time going over the internet looking for different examples of blog posts that have been created and what that experience is like for you. Which one do you like and which ones do you not like? Which ones are nice to read and which ones are not so nice to read? And that's the best way to decide what is going to be the best way or format to lay out your blog post. So tomorrow we're going to be looking at how to easily get backlinks for your website. As you know, backlinks are one of the key things to get you ranking in the search engines. And if you have any other questions around search engine optimization, please leave a comment there. Let me know how I can help you to understand search engine optimization much better and to get you over that stumbling block of the technicalities of search engine optimization itself. Okay, and that's it for today. Until tomorrow, where we're going to be looking at backlinking. Okay, bye.